Welcome to Job Sharing and Beyond, the Future of Work podcast that goes beyond the traditional 9 to 5. I am Karin Tischler, speaker, consultant, and host of the show, where we hear from global experts every other week to discover innovative solutions and tips on how to remain a relevant employer in the future. Hello, everyone. Today is another episode where I ask my guests some fun, quick questions so that you can get to know them better. And also, if you haven't had a chance to listen to their entire episodes, to get a little bit of an introduction to them. And so today, they are the guests from episode 38 to 41. And that is Luisa Hanke, Frischbier, Kristi Rible, Jake Styker, and Bässler. I hope you enjoy it as much as I did when I was asking them the questions. Let's get started with Luisa Hanke and Frischbier. What is your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is red because it's the color for me of giving life, of the womb. I don't like to have it around me too much, but that's my favorite color.
It's for me, it's green. It's green because as a hobby, I'm a winemaker, and I like if the leaves are coming out and if everything gets green. So it's green.
Okay, next one. Who do you admire the most?
At the moment, I have to say a woman I really look up to is Janina Kugel. I admire her so much for what she has done in the different positions she had in, for what she has done to bring changes in the German working world. And she's a huge role model and still so empathetic. And I really, really, really look up for her, how she brings change with strength and empathy.
Yeah, I really look forward to reading her book. Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, it's not a single person. It's in general persons who are working on a change process, and although they are facing troubles, and so anyhow they are changing something. So this is for me something admirable.
What is one of the things you would put on your bucket list?
Okay. For me, it's easy, and it's not just because it's you. It's to join an ice hockey game in Canada.
Aw, that's awesome.
For me, it is traveling again. A couple of years ago, in between my studies, I have been traveling the world for 3 years. And that gave me a lot of insights, a lot of strength. And also it carried me through the last 9 years as a single working mother. And now that my daughter is bigger, I rediscovered this wish to travel the world with her. And just last week, we talked about that I would like to show the Rocky Mountains to her. So that would be one thing I want to put on my bucket list.
If you could teleport, where would you go and why?
Okay, it's easy. I would teleport myself to an open restaurant where my friends are, and just to meet them in person and not via camera.
Oh,
I have to say I like that idea so much. I want to do the same. A long table somewhere outside and just a simple, nice meal, a glass of wine, and just like a 5-hour, 6-hour conversation and hugs. I would teleport myself to a place where I can give big hugs to my friends.
So what is your favorite book?
I have two that I cannot decide between. I have been struggling. The book that accompanies me the most is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. This is the most important book for me. And another book that touched me a lot was The Art of Gathering. Like, why do people meet? What is the intention of meeting and gathering? And it touched me a lot. So these two books, if I can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I learned a lot of Patrick Lencioni's The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. So it's really great great to see how a team can not work in a proper way and to do it another way.
The biggest myth in your area of work?
That mothers cannot do proper work anymore. Like once they have a child, that's it.
Yeah, nothing to add. It's perfect.
What is the song you hear most often?
It's definitely something from Queen, because I like to drive by car and listen very loud to Queen's music.
It's now you got me. Even I forgot the artist's name, but it's a song from the album African Giant, and it's from a Nigerian artist who has been booked for a concert. It was either in Europe or the US, and his name has been put on the flyer in like the smallest number of letters possible. And he was wondering, and he asked, like, where is my name? Oh, it's there, very small in the corner. But he is one of the most famous artists in Nigeria, one of the biggest countries on the continent. And it seemed like no one really appreciated in the Western world, like, who he is. So he decided to name his new album African Giant, and I think this is the perfect example to see how biased we all are. And there are a few tracks that I really like and listen to very often.
Thank you. So now the last question: what advice did you get that was the most rewarding?
Same as the title on the book, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Do it.
Thank you. Next up is Kristi Rible. What is your favorite color and why?
Yellow. I always used to say cranberry red, but yellow hands down is my color because it's reminds me of sunshine and it's cheerful and it makes me happy and I love to be happy. So yellow.
And who do you admire the most?
Oh gosh. Oh, well, I have to say my mother and father equally. I really admire my parents so much for all kinds of reasons. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
There's others I admire, but they're at the top of my list.
Now, what is one of the things you would put on your bucket list?
I have so much on my bucket list, and it is all related to places. So I want to go to Mongolia. That's on my bucket list. Mongolia, and maybe link the Bhutan and Tibet in there too.
That sounds really interesting. Now, and a similar question. So if you could teleport also in time, where would you go and why?
I don't think I'd want to teleport to any other time than now. I don't believe in going back because even during the tough times, I think there's value in the tough times. So I'd want to make sure I had those experiences. And going forward, I want it to be a surprise. So let's say tomorrow, I'll teleport to tomorrow, one day.
Okay. All right. Now, what's your favorite book?
That's also another hard one, Karin. I have a lot of nonfiction favorites lately, but I'm gonna say a completely random one. And that is, if I can remember the title of it right now. Okay, it's random. And I'll tell you, do you want to know why it's my favorite?
Yeah.
Okay. It's called Motel of the Mysteries. And it's by David Macaulay. And it's basically a cartoon book. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I use that book often because what it is all about is a site, an archaeological site was uncovered. And as we're talking about, we're in the future, an archaeological site is uncovered and it is a motel and they're digging it up. But what they're discovering are things, they're putting labels and names to things that they don't yet know what they are. So they're assuming like the toilets, it's a comedy. Like the toilet seat must be what the king wore and all these things. So it's about context, and it's about, we're always putting our own context into something that we've discovered about the past. So we never really know. So we know it's a motel, but the future had no idea what that was all about. It's hard to describe unless you look at it, but I'll say that.
It sounds definitely interesting. I will look it up. So what would you say is the biggest myth in your area of work?
That women lose their ambition when they become mothers. That's a myth.
Yep. What is the song you hear most often?
I love the song Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
I'm not sure if I know it, so I will check that out too. Now, the last question is, what advice did you get that was the most rewarding to you?
Can only think in this present moment in time. And I am going to say sociologist Caitlin Collins, based on her research around motherhood and work, says the guilt is not your fault. And she basically came up with that because of her research. And that's awesome to not take on guilt as a mother and have her say that. So I've never met her.
This is so interesting. Thank you very much. And now the next guest, Jake Styker. What is your favorite color and why?
Historically, I would have said orange. And the joke was always because of basketball is orange and I love basketball. But you commented on this earlier. I'm wearing a burgundy hoodie, and I really like burgundy, maroon, like those kinds of colors. I don't know if I really have a reason, but that's what I like these days.
Okay. Who do you admire the most?
It's so hard to choose. Maybe a bit of a cop-out. I admire the Stoic philosophy, and there's capital S Stoicism, right, of like the school of thought, and then there's lowercase Stoicism, which I talked about earlier. But Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, it's timeless. The way that they think about things. It's known as kind of the entrepreneur's philosophy. It really helps ground you in whatever life throws at you. And it's been really invaluable to me and my healing around mental health and how I move around the world. So I think it's that school of thought.
What is one of the things you would put on your bucket list?
I just love traveling, and so far I've only been to Europe, North America, and South America. And even then, there's more that I'd love to see in those places, but maybe going to Africa or Asia or Australia definitely would be on the bucket list. And
if you could teleport, whether that is time-wise or location-wise, where would you go and why?
Maybe Africa, Australia, or Asia then. No, I think I lived in Europe as a younger man, and I really just loved it there. I have some really great friends there. So if I had the power to just like teleport back and forth between here and there and not have to pay flights, and then I'd have the best of both worlds for me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Now, what is your favorite book?
I read a lot of books. I read maybe like 30 to 40 books a year. And every year there's some that are definitely up there. But I think like the one that really transformed me the most was Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. And, he was a Holocaust survivor and a psychotherapist. And he gave himself meaning by psychoanalyzing his fellow prisoners, and saw that those who gave themselves meaning were more likely to survive than those who didn't. And, people talk about, money and career trajectory and these kinds of things. But I think in life, if you give yourself meaning, then it's a rich life.
Now, what is the biggest myth in your area of work?
That men are the sole cause of patriarchal harms.
What is the song that you listen to the most?
I don't know if I have a song that I can think of, but I grew up playing basketball, and hip hop has always kind of been with basketball. So I've always just listened to a lot of hip hop, and sometimes when I'm working, I actually listen to German hip hop, because I don't understand everything, but it's the rhythm and the melody, and can kind of get in the zone with that.
So now my last question, what advice did you get that was the most rewarding?
I think being given permission to be yourself, and then also told that not everybody has to like you, right? Because being yourself sounds like really fluffy and nice and those kinds of things, but we still want to be liked. And then when someone kind of gives you the freedom to not have to worry about that and still be yourself and know that there will be people that like you just for who you are, and there's other that won't, it's really freeing.
Thank you very much. Last but certainly not least, my final guest for this episode, Michelle Bässler. What is your favorite color and why?
My favorite color has changed over the years, and at the moment it is green, because it gives me hope.
That's really good. And who do you admire the most?
Oh, there are many. At the moment, which is for Germany, she is in the media in high frequency. Her name is Verena Pauster. And she's also a startup founder, Unternehmerin, so entrepreneur, and she has also put on some political disruption. Not a disruption maybe, but yeah, she's a mother too. So she's been inspiring me.
What is one of the things you would put on your bucket list?
That's a tough one now. It used to be very easy, but now my needs have shifted severely. But now, the first thing that came to mind was be well, like constantly. And it takes me a lot of work. Like well-being is very important to me at the moment, and I'm not very good at it. Yeah. So that would be something I need to achieve.
Okay. Now, if you could teleport, where would you go and why? It could be also going through time or location.
I would go see my best friend. She's in America, near Washington, actually, and she is in a very similar stage. She's also a mother of two and struggling under the pandemic, and I would go see her, hug her, and eat ice cream with her.
Oh. And now, what is your favorite book?
At the moment, it would be any work from Yuval Noah Harari. I don't know if I pronounce it right. The latest I've been reading was Lessons for the 21st Century or something like that. I don't know the English.
Okay. I will look it up. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And the biggest myth in your area of work?
German quote, das bisschen Haushalt macht sich doch von allein, meaning the chores that have to be done at home, they just magically do it by themselves, which is a very big myth.
That's awesome. So what is the song you hear most often?
It's a children's song. I'm gonna say the kids, they play it on repeat. It's late and I can't remember the name.
That's all right.
Those are kids songs, so I don't really get to listen to adult music that much anymore.
And the very last question, what advice did you get that was the most rewarding?
If you stay in bed in the morning, like if the burden is too big and you stay in bed in the morning, then your initiative will stay in bed with you. So if you don't do it, no one's going to do it, basically.
Thank you. I think that is a perfect ending to the questions. Thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. We hope you gained valuable insights and new ideas. To keep listening to future episodes, please head over to iTunes or your favorite player and subscribe and give it a rating. We would very much appreciate a review and for you to share it on social media. so more people can start innovating in how they offer employment. Until the next time, goodbye!